We said in a segment yesterday, hey, what's taken Marjorie Taylor Greene so long to file a motion to vacate against Mike Johnson? Well, we got our answer here. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene says she will force a vote to oust Speaker Mike Johnson next week. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene said Wednesday she will force a vote next week to oust Speaker Mike Johnson, daring Democrats and the Speaker's GOP allies to step in and save his job. Wearing a red MAGA hat, Greene accused Johnson of betraying the GOP and going against conservative wishes on government funding bills, passing Ukraine aid, and reauthorizing the Pfizer surveillance program without new warrant requirements, among other issues. So next week, I am going to be calling this motion to vacate. Absolutely calling it, Greene said at a news conference outside of the Capitol. I can't wait to see Democrats go out and support a Republican speaker and have to go home to their primaries and have to run for Congress again. Well, you underestimate the stupidity of the Democratic voter, Marjorie Taylor Greene, because Republicans would never allow their constituents to support a Democratic speaker. But of course, Democrats are going to admire that their representative put country first before party, and the adults in the room united against Trump. And, you know, Mike Johnson's a reasonable man who we can have disagreements with, but at the end of the day, he did what was right for the country and what was wrong for Vladimir Putin. See, Marjorie Taylor Greene thinks that Democratic voters are as smart and as serious and as disciplined as Republican voters, and they're not. They are absolute sheep. Absolute sheep. So that threat, unfortunately, from her point of view, is kind of an empty one. The Democrats will explain this to their constituents just fine. They'll vote for him just as much. That's how worthless they are.
Yeah, when I went down to interview people outside the Trump trial, I got a guy. If there had been more anti-Trump people, this was a question I wanted to ask all of them. But the one person I asked, well, so if they replace Joe Biden with Liz Cheney, will you vote for her? She's smart. She's, I would definitely vote for her. She's a mother. She's,
right. Yeah.
She's really capable. Yeah, man. I promise you, if you made Liz Cheney the Democratic nominee, Democrats would rejoice.
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely. They'll have no problem whatsoever. So here's Marjorie Taylor Greene at that very press conference holding up a MAGA hat, and placing it on a picture of Mike Johnson, as you might infer from this, that is make Ukraine great again. But here she is doing a little shtick for the crowd here at the press conference.
That's what this says. The Uniparty is make Ukraine great again. The Uniparty is all about funding every single foreign war. They think this is the business model that needs to be done. There you go.
There it is. Good balance, too. She did that very well. Mm-hmm. And yes, look, she's right. It is a uniparty. You ever hear a Democrat calling out the uniparty? You ever hear a Democrat saying that on matters of war and peace, these parties are exactly the same? It's one big club and we ain't in it. I never heard AOC say that.
I'll say that. It's one big uniparty when it comes to fucking Israel, because she's for that one.
Yep. And
she's talking about Ukraine, but she's for that one.
That's true. Absolutely. Thomas Massie says he challenges the other leaders of the House GOP to demand that Mike Johnson resign this weekend before they are forced to vote on the motion to vacate next week. Now, notice it's just Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene at this press conference. He is her only co-sponsor on this, which is not a good sign, not a good indicator of the success of this motion. But we're going to get more to that in a minute. Here's Thomas Massie encouraging his fellow Republicans to get on board and try and convince Mike Johnson to resign.
I challenge the whip, the majority leader, the conference chair, the policy chair, everybody in our conference to sit down with Mike Johnson and have that talk and tell him it's not worth it, Mike. It's not worth it to share power with Hakeem Jeffries just for the vanity of you keeping the title of speaker. It doesn't serve our country. It doesn't serve our conference. They need to ask him to resign.
Well, article continues. Her renewed threat, meaning Marjorie Taylor Greene's, against Johnson comes just one day after Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and his Democratic leadership team issued a rare statement announcing that, here we go, Democrats would band together to protect Johnson by voting to table or kill a motion by Green to oust the speaker to promote bipartisan cooperation and return to normalcy. So here is the statement from the Democratic leadership. For months, House Republicans irresponsibly delayed critical security assistance to our Democratic allies in Ukraine, Israel, and the Indo-Pacific, while simultaneously blocking humanitarian assistance to civilians in harm's way in places like Gaza, Haiti, and Sudan. Yeah, like you give a fuck.
Like they give a fuck.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thanks to a bipartisan coalition of Democrats and Republicans led by President Biden, we were finally able to meet the national security needs of the American people. From the very beginning of this Congress...
Who want no part of any of this shit.
Right, who don't want any of this. Right, exactly. From the very beginning of this Congress, House Democrats have put people over politics and found bipartisan common ground with traditional Republicans, not the MAGA Republicans. By traditional Republicans, he means the George W. Bush neocon Republicans, who ironically, those are like the real fascist Republicans, not the cartoon, Hagar, thou horrible helmet, January 6th, pretend fascist Republicans. The real fascist Republicans, like, will invade your country. Why? Why not?
People forget now, and I would have to go back into it for the details, but I remember it coming out of the Bush White House. They were making statements like, after 9/11, people have to be careful what they say now.
Right.
You know, like they were straight out saying shit like that.
Oh, yeah. That's how they got the Patriot Act passed. Yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt about that. House Democrats, from the beginning of this, have put people over politics and found bipartisan common ground with traditional Republicans in order to deliver real results. At the same time, House Democrats have aggressively pushed back against MAGA extremism. We will continue to do just that. At this moment, upon completion of our national security work, the time has come to turn the page on the chapter of pro-Putin Republican obstruction. We will vote to table Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's motion to vacate the chair. If she invokes the motion, it will not succeed. Thomas Massey quote tweeted this. Hakeem Jeffries vows to save Mike Johnson's speakership. Why wouldn't he? Johnson has given the Democrats everything they want. Absolutely.
And he stole your line here, right? He called him glory hole of the house in this statement.
Yeah, he should have said that.
My glory hole of the house.
Everybody loves a good glory hole.
Marjorie Taylor Greene today said the House is becoming flaccid under Mike Johnson's leadership.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, well, this makes a lot of sense because you ask, why would Johnson burn the Republicans like this? He probably had a secret deal with the Democrats. That if he
probably
did this,
knew in
they
advance
would have his back.
Yep. He probably knew that in advance. That's probably what they worked out. Even some of Johnson's other conservative critics have opposed Greene's push to depose Johnson and say it will go nowhere. She has just 2 co-sponsors on her resolution. Okay, so maybe it's Massey and one other. Moments after Greene's news conference, Johnson released a terse statement. This motion is wrong for the Republican conference, wrong for the institution, and wrong for the country. Greene has been threatening to move against the speaker for months, warning him not to pass the emergency foreign aid for Ukraine while thousands of migrants cross the southern border. But last month, Johnson, after negotiating with the White House, pushed through a $95 billion national security package that included aid for Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan, along with a potential ban on the social media app TikTok. President Joe Biden quickly signed it into law, yada, yada, yada. Now we have Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats coming out, embracing Mike Johnson with a warm hug and a big, wet, sloppy kiss.
Oh,
and
they
according
have
to
definitely
Russell,
taken your framing.
Yeah, well, according to Russell, this is a big, wet, sloppy something else, too.
Yep.
But that's unconfirmed. That's unconfirmed. But that's our theory, and we are sticking with it. And they are ready. They have endorsed him. They are ready to support him as speaker, Greene said. They want to keep it going, keep the band together. Why? Because Mike Johnson is giving them everything they want. Greene, as we heard, labeled Johnson a member of the Uniparty, a term hard-right Republicans use to disparage Republicans who work with Democrats to pass bipartisan measures. There's NBC trying to put the ick factor on a truth, right? Trying to give the truth a bad name, right? They say he's a member of the Uniparty because he is, right? They're hard right Republicans. They use it to disparage, not criticize, disparage Republicans who work with Democrats. In other words, the children use that word to describe the adults who reach across the aisle and get things done. But yeah, looks like Johnson's seat is safe. Now, the Democrats are saying, obviously, in the new session, they won't be so kind. And, you know, look, the Democrats are not incompetents. They're just evil, right? It's not that they can't win. They actually play politics very well. It's just that their first objective is not to win. Like, from a Machiavellian evil perspective, this is actually very smart. Because if they win the House, which I don't think they're going to, then this is not their problem because the GOP is the minority and they can't stop the Democrats from making Hakeem the new Speaker of the House. But if the Republicans keep the House, which is far more likely, the Democrats can then abandon Mike Johnson, and then the Republicans are back in the same shitstorm that they were this first time, where they took 15 votes to get Kevin McCarthy through, and then they bounced him. Like, this is the smart Machiavellian move. Sure. So the thing is, they're not incompetent. They're not stupid.
No.
They just don't give a shit about people.
Right. They don't want to do any of the things that they claim you have to vote for them to do.
Please clap.